Just one comment before you start your 15-minute thing. No, it's about the enemy thing, because I'm the enemy. So the way that I understood it, I'm the enemy because I work for a multinational company. I feel for you, whoever said that, because about, I would say, 13, 14 years ago, I was in the same position. I was studying at a rather left university in the States and was approached by Holcim for a corporate role. And I said, oh God, no. And then I actually talked to my advisor and I said, you know, I really want to change something. I want to make the world more sustainable, or whatever it was called back then. And he said to me, you know, there's only one way you can do that. You can change the system from within, but not standing outside and complaining. So this is what I tried. I've never, almost never, regretted it. And I'm with Holcim for 12 or 13 years. And now you can start. So this morning I actually prepared a talk. Normally if an issue is very important to me, I have an outline. I tested on my kids. I used 19 minutes, so I'll try to make it shorter. So again, I'm Stefanie, you know already, working for Holcim. Holcim is a cement producer. It's one of the largest cement producers. And we're currently merging with the second largest, which makes us, you know, a super giant. We have about 70,000 employees all over the world currently. After the merger, obviously we'll have a couple more. We have about 130 cement plants. We also produce aggregates, which is crushed stones, gravel, sand, and we have ready-mix operations. So that gives you an idea. I will not waste more words and minutes on the company, but go directly into the issue that we're talking about. So sustainability has been at the heart of Holcim at least since I joined. I was hired to develop a CSR policy, a CSR approach. Since then, we have made huge development, and CSR also has developed from what I call first generation philanthropic CSR to something that is more inclusive business. And for a while now, I've been also heading our inclusive business endeavors. We were leaders in the sustainability front in the industry and for Swiss companies for a while, represented in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. And at some point, we felt that we had lost momentum. So we did our climate work, we did our environmental emission monitoring, we did our CSR, but we felt we need more. So we worked for 2 years on something that is called the SD Ambition, Sustainable Development Ambition 2030, defining targets in 3 different areas. These areas are climate, so to cap our CO2 emissions, resources, lose less natural resources, have a positive impact on water and on our biodiversity. One field that I'm directly managing relates to community, so this is strategic social investment and inclusive business. Here we would like to reach until 2020 about 40 million people with strategic social investment and inclusive business, and 100 million by 2030. This is only Holcim. After the merger, probably the numbers will be bigger. And also to give you some ballpark numbers, our CSR budget, that does not include inclusive business, because inclusive business has nothing to do with CSR, is about 40 million. So this is a really big NGO or some small, medium UN organization. And we have about 3 million beneficiaries. I don't like to call them beneficiaries, more participants of our efforts. So coming back to the SD ambition, we heard it's climate, resources, and community. And the whole slogan is to provide foundations for society's future. So how do we actually get there? How do we reach 100 million people by 2030? And the only thing that comes up, and always to my mind, is innovation. So how do we innovate? Through social entrepreneurship. And here we are actually right at the core, and I've already left my script. So here, as you said, Niels, there are 2 things that I would like to mention. One is the whole intrapreneurship thing. And if you talk about a company, everything that sort of is entrepreneurship is centered around one entrepreneur. And then we also work with social entrepreneurs that are outside of the company. We work with funders, we work with a lot of little, small organizations all over the world. But to come back to the entrepreneur thing, because I think this is really crucial in a company if you want to innovate, in particular if it's around social innovation and you need to create a social value and an economic value at the same time, you need a person that has a lot of passion. I think I do have that, and I was able to convince our top management in a lot of instances that we need to do projects. But in order to be successful, and this I have written down, you need some more conditions. So first of all, their investments. Somebody said there's a lot of opportunity costs, a lot of trial and error, so your company as an entrepreneur needs to give you that investment. You also need dedicated human resources, so you can be one entrepreneur and you can work on that stuff, you know, in your free time, on your weekends and all of that, but you need a team. You can, you know, live at a headquarter, but you will execute in the group companies on the ground, and there you need a team that actually follows up. There needs to be a willingness of the company, and I was really lucky to have that in Holcim for trial and error. Somebody said before that, I think it was you, that you have a business model, then you change it, change it, change it. One project that I will be mentioning in a second was like that. So I had something in my mind, then I was sent to the field, which was Argentina, which is a difficult country. And I thought it would just go like I figured it would go. It didn't. So basically every month we changed way. I drove the team crazy. Top management was with me, but the lower layers of management actually had problems. But there's a lot of adjustment, changing of the business model, changing completely, new ideas. But that's also the beauty of it and the learning of it. Then again, you need vision and a passion from the top management, from the person to implement it, to go off the beaten path. Because as a cement company, what do you do? Cement, obviously. But if you're now into social housing or sanitation, these are completely different ball games. As an entrepreneur, there's some other things that you need. You need like a godmother or a godfather who's in the top management that supports you. So you need that one person that you can actually convince to help you to spread it in the organization, and that actually allows you or gives the go-ahead to do that. You need some time. I mean, that can be your free time, as I said. Also, there is a threat to an entrepreneur, and I've discussed that with other entrepreneurs who also work for consulting firms. It can be a roadblock for your career. So if you're just starting your career and you want to run and become CEO in 5 years, don't be an entrepreneur, because it's seen as a job that does not lead straight to the very top. I think it does, because it gives you so many different experiences that you're equipped with a lot of the skills that you need when you actually arrive somewhere up there. Support of social entrepreneurs, as I said, in another project in sanitation in India currently, we work a lot with social entrepreneurs. But one of the learnings also is that you cannot do that in each country. And I'm going completely off my script. You cannot do that in every country. So this is where I would like to bring in the Argentina experience. So the objective of Argentina was to create or to build up a housing project, a social housing project for low-income communities that is sustainable. So why should only the rich have sustainable houses? So we planned 2 different barrios, neighborhoods, in Jujuy, in the north of Argentina, and in Mendoza, which is much more affluent. And the experiences were mixed, so it was highly participatory. The future clients would design the barrio, they would design the house, we put in the sustainability features. They managed the process, we trained micro-entrepreneurs so that the clients are actually able to repay a credit that they get for their house. It worked nicely in Jujuy, where the project is still up and running, and I consider it a success because there will be a sustainable barrio, which is like a boutique barrio, in, I hope, 3 years. So this is up. I failed completely to make that a business model. All my financial assumptions just didn't work out. This relates to Argentina being what it is. Very difficult political system, subsidy-based economy, inflation of 25% or more. And it just didn't work there. In Mendoza, there was a completely different set of problems, and the project failed in both that I was advanced, I had the urban design, I had the families, I had some financing, a compromise from the governor, but then there was corruption at a certain level in the hierarchy, and I will not go into details, that sort of hindered the project completely, and it had to be aborted, much to my frustration and pain. Anyway, the learning that I derived from that is that wherever you are, you need to analyze the political system. You need to have your allies not only in the company, also in the political system, and you need to make sure that the political system is actually conducive to whatever you want to do. If you're competing with the government, who had a nice housing plan, Procrear, which doesn't work, but anyway, then you're doomed in the first place. If you have an inflation of 25% and no microfinance institutions, forget about your financial model. Now we're going quickly to India. So after I came back from Argentina, I started the project in India, and here somebody said earlier that what corporations can actually provide is the upscaling, the massifying, somebody called it, and I like that. So in India, you have about 70% of the population that defecates in the open, meaning they do not have any toilets. These are health problems, dignity problems, women's empowerment, and so forth. So it's a huge problem. The political system, again coming back to the Argentina issue, has picked it up, and it has been part of Modi's election campaign. And now the whole government is really strong on the sanitation issue, providing subsidies, a lot of support. There are other organizations like the Gates Foundation with a toilet fair and so forth. So there's a hell of a lot of momentum just going on now, and we can actually use that momentum to bring that initiative forward. And the aim is by 2025 to have sold 3.3 million toilets, and that means about 16 to 17 million people touched that then have a toilet. Here we are working with social entrepreneurs, and there's, for example, one, and again somebody said, where are the women? So in our projects there are women, we make sure, despite the fact that in a cement company you normally don't find a lot of women. Anyways, there we're working with female entrepreneurs. There's one, she's called Masi, she has been working with women self-help groups for the longest time. And I wanted to draw something, but never mind. So initially we wanted to distribute the toilets, which is kind of an IKEA solution, toilet in a box. Obviously you cannot walk away with it because it has a superstructure and a substructure. But we have found different distribution channels, which is the challenge, because how do you get actually the toilet to the consumer? We thought about our normal retail network that we have everywhere in the world, but then we came up with one solution, and these are called green building centers, where we train local entrepreneurs, local business partners as we call them, in the technology. They do all the investment, so they invest in the land, in the structures. We provide them with the technology and with the markets. They're producing something that is fly ash bricks and hollow blocks. Never mind, it's made, it's produced for the superstructure. They have an immediate market because they can use our distribution network, and they can almost, everything that they produce, they can sell. In this particular case, this green building center with that social entrepreneur called Masi, she's running that green building center and producing all that we need for the toilets. So she provides a livelihood to about 50 workers, including masons. Many of them are women. The money that she earns also helps to run her female self-help groups. We can actually sell our toilets with a small premium on top of it. We employ unemployed masons and so forth. So you can see it's a win-win-win-win-win whatever situation, and we kind of sanitize rural India. The idea is to multiply these green building centers to a scale that we can actually supply toilets all over India. The challenge now is where do you find the entrepreneurs? And I've put down, only 2 minutes left, some challenges actually for working with social entrepreneurs in a context like the India project. First of all, there's the willingness to experiment on both sides. I think that was also the enemy discussion, which I think is just a joke by now because we depend on each other. So from the side of the social entrepreneurs, the NGOs or whatever, there needs to be a willingness to work with the corporate sector and vice versa. And if there is that willingness, then you need to trust that both sides do their best, or that both sides actually have the capabilities or the capacities to work with the other part. However, in all of these endeavors, be it a green building center, be it a 3.3 million sanitation project, be it a housing project, there needs to be a real waterproof business plan. And this is probably what we're good at the business side. And if we do not have that, it will probably not work to upscale that or to massify it. So if I can conclude in 45 seconds with a wish. So my wish would actually be that we just drop these enemy kind of discussions. We don't trust the social sector. There are enlightened corporations, not all of them and not everybody in a corporation, but there are more and more individuals who actually do these kind of projects, and they do it with all their heart, not for the reputation. And I can clearly say for Holcim, I would not have stayed 12 years if I would not have felt that it's sincere. And also they have let me do the projects that I wanted. I only needed to nag for 5 years until they let me do the housing. But anyway, I did it. So again, I would really wish for an openness from both sides, from you as social entrepreneurs or future social entrepreneurs and corporations to be willing to work together. Is this good? I